So yesterday, came home, had this by my door. The neighbors down the hall have some kids, and the kids have seen me in my helmet. And you know what? It's actually really cool. They left me a card, handmade. It says, "You're positive, you're kind, you're funny, you're an amazing person. Merry Christmas." It says, "Dear motorcycle guy, when I first saw your helmet, we had a heart attack. And also, thanks for the stickers. From Bella and Anthony. We love your motorcycle and your helmet. Merry Christmas." I know how the Grinch feels now, because I feel like my heart just grew 12 sizes. What is up, people of YouTube? I'm the Motorcycle Mick, and today we are looking at this right here. Now, my last video, well, people said I wasn't adding into anything on it. So today I'm gonna add a crap load of stuff about this bike. But I'm here in my mom's basement, and if you think that it is, it's really not. I had a very astute Todd watching my videos. This is important stuff. But like I said, we're looking at the Harley Bronx today, and it's a good looking bike. Before I get too far into that, if you are new to this channel, or have been watching for a very long time, hit that subscribe button down below. I upload videos every Tuesday and Thursday around 3 o'clock. Eastern Standard Time. And guys and gals, we hit 500 subscribers. I am more than humbled. I appreciate all the support and people watching my videos, hitting that like button. Speaking of which, make sure you hit the like button on this video. We are doing a giveaway for the Mad Bike gloves. That'll be next Saturday. I'm doing a live stream, and we're gonna be giving away a couple pairs of those gloves. But back to your normal programming, we're talking about the Harley-Davidson Bronx, coming in 2020. Now, they haven't really been specific about that, but well, I guess we'll find out. Harley is bringing back street bikes, and Buell lives. And I'm excited to see what other bikes they bring out. Before I get into this bike, there's a lot of people talking about how this looks like a Yamaha MT-01. Well, there is some resemblance there. That is not where the lineage of this bike comes from. In fact, you have to go back to 1986 when Eric Buell, that's right, Buell, left Harley-Davidson Motor Company and started the Buell brand. Then come forward, 17 years later, Eric Buell announced a new motorcycle. There is something that was said, and it's really cool because it kind of gives away this bike. But it said in 2003, it's a Street Fighter type motorcycle. That was 2003, almost 17 years ago. They released this motorcycle right here. That is the Buell Lightning. And you might notice something about that motorcycle. It bears a lot of resemblance to the Street Fighter we're looking at right here. Actually, it'll probably be 17. I bet we see this on the launch date of when the Buell Lightning came out. From 1986 until Harley fully acquired Buell in 2003, Buell made badass bikes. And then for another 6 years, they kept making sport bikes. Bikes that featured Harley's V-twin motor in a sport bike, which gave it a very unique sound, ride, and feel. But sadly, in 2009, just like the Dynas in 2017, Buell was laid to rest, and the motor company wanted to focus on the Harley brand itself. And a lot of people were upset about it. But I feel like Harley had something up their sleeve. They'd been focusing so much on their touring models that in their mind, they still kept that little flame burning. Now, Eric Buell went on to form Eric Buell Racing, and 16 years later, Harley announces the Street Fighter, or codenamed Street Fighter as it was known. Now, what's cool about that is if you go back to 2003 when they released the Lightning as a Street Fighter type motorcycle, they were very specific about that. And 16 years later, we have this, the Harley-Davidson Bronx. Now, am I a fan of the name? No, I think Street Fighter would have been a really cool name for this motorcycle, but and they kind of dropped the ball on that. It's a sport bike. Harley did it well because I feel like there's some influences on here from people that were making Buells. So when you say that Harley is copying people and doing all these things, they're not. Harley's always had Buell in their back pocket, and they decided to bring it back. Just more modernized, more rigid, more better. Just like the Panamera, it's got the 2-in-1 exhaust, it's got the Brembo brakes, it's got the alloy wheels, you can see the back wheels fatter, it's got the 975, which they say is a modular motor, so that means I feel like they're gonna share the crank on this bike, and the jugs will be different. Now in Italy this week, Harley announced that there are some numbers for us to look at. This motorcycle right here has 117 horsepower and 70 foot-pounds of torque. That is the 975. It's got the dual overhead cams, it's got all the branding, it's got the lights, Harley's standard bullet lights, and overall it's a really good looking bike. But Harley did release a video, so we're gonna check that out right now. Now we can see with this motorcycle, there's a few things that have returned. And one of those which is the iconic sport bike with a Harley motor sound. And that's what we got from Buell. And that's what was really nice. Buell's had a very unique sound. They sounded really badass and they were extremely, extremely fun. As per usual, we're going to scroll down to see what they got. It says Fight Club. Introducing the Harley-Davidson Bronx. Unapologetic attitude with performance necessary to back it up. Torque, handling, and technology in a modern package. Middleweight has a new meaning. It's pictures. They have stills from the video. So I'm going to point out some things. Starting off, we're going to look at the actual dash on here. Not your typical analog dial with maybe a little thing underneath it for miles and trip. That's a whole little smart display. That is not just going to be your typical thing that you have on like a Sportster. That's going to be a whole little smart display. You can tell that just by looking at it. There's nothing showing. It's got the Harley-Davidson kind of CVO logo. Now it's going to have TAC, fuel mileage, miles per hour, all that kind of stuff. But Harley did mention in this that this bike is going to be good in high rev range. It's going to operate great at high RPMs. So that means it's going to pull at high RPMs. But then we go over to the left-hand little cluster. The first thing I can point out to you is if you look underneath at the bottom, there is the blinkers. No more like the Harley stuff where you're gonna have push left or push right. It's gonna be more modern with sport bike feel. It's gonna be on one side. So you'll blinker left, blinker right, you're gonna be able to do that with just one thumb. Also looking at it, there is a strange image that looks like a car. I don't know what that is. Looks like a tachometer and then a car. And then it's got the cycle button. Then we go on to look at the other part of this. And that main little structure in the middle is something I really want to look at. That is not what you typically see on a Harley. That is like something you'd see on an infotainment system on like a bigger bike. And that is a selector button in the middle. Then it looks like it has arrows to maneuver around and be able to adjust things and look at things, maybe select certain displays or modes, see different features going on. And then that little image right there on the top right button in that little cluster. And that's like a picture-in-picture. So that'd be like tapping your home button on your iPhone twice and being able to pull up all the different screens. So that means that this bike's gonna be able to hit that button and maybe pull up like one's gonna have like voltage, VEs, things like that. You're gonna be able to pull up everything on this screen. And then there's the home button, which means you just return back. So that means that this is gonna be a whole little smart display and you're gonna be able to go through and look at all the different stuff that's going on with your motorcycle. And I think that's gonna be cool. Maybe you're gonna have different modes for it. Maybe like a track mode, a street mode, a rain, you know, it might have different modes on there. And that's a big giveaway from Harley to be able to show that. This bike's gonna have cruise control. This little cluster here on the handlebars is giving a lot away about this bike. Looking at this image of the motorcycle, which we kind of touched on a little bit earlier, but I want to get more in depth on this. You can see that it's got the dual disc front brakes, it's got the inverted forks, it's got the smart display up there, the headlight. Oddly enough, the tires look deflated in this picture. I don't know if that's for aggressive stance or that was just an accident. You know, just like, oh, it's gonna make it look meaner, or I don't know what they're doing with that. It's got a big radiator, so this is gonna be water cooled. You can see those giant hoses coming off of it. So this bike's gonna have a lot of good water cooling to it. We'll see how that works out. And you know, passenger, all that kind of stuff. And once again, it's got a 2-in-1 exhaust, but you can see the giant catalytic converter down at the bottom. But what does this mean for Harley-Davidson? What does this mean for the Moco? Well, I think what it means is that Harley has finally gotten out of their grandpa age stuff. They're going to target the sport bike crowd with the way they have this set up and everything the way they're doing it, the monoshock suspension like we saw in the Pan America. It's going after the sport bike crowd. They want people to jump back on bikes, and they knew Buell was a great selling company, and so they wanted to bring it back. They wanted to bring back that heritage because it deserved it. Harley, it was time. Harley knew it was time to actually move forward and work with the times. And the only way you're going to sell bikes and build brand loyalty and build people wanting to buy your bikes, even if they just buy a Street Fighter or Bronx as they want to call it, people love that feel because everyone has a Ninja, everyone has an R1 or R6 or R3, everyone has that style of sport bike. And you normally see that with inline motors or boxer style motors, but the V-twin motor in a sport bike always made it super fun, and it was interesting. At least to say how fast this bike's gonna be, it's probably gonna be a monster and pretty damn fun. But I think this is turning a page for Harley-Davidson. I think they're moving forward. I think they're creating something new, and I hope we see more Buell style motorcycles being brought back, because no matter what anyone says, this is 100% resemblance of the Buell Lightning. But for now, guys, that's all I have. You know, I want to know what your opinion is on this motorcycle. Harley's new modular Revolution Max, that is the name for these motors. I'm really curious to see how it's going to work, because it's going to have 4 valves, like, it's going to have the water cooling. It's going to have everything in motion to make this a very fast and badass bike. Now, if that's the way it comes out, we'll be hopeful to see. And hopefully they price this bike perfectly to be able to compete. Let me know down below what you guys think in the comments about this bike. And as always, I hope you have a great day, evening, night, morning, afternoon tea, brunch, lunch, nightcap, crumpet, McGriddle, bacon sandwich. And remember to always ride for freedom. And I rest.
Hey, dog, this shit is old school. They say I'm not supposed to, but I make my own rules. Dog, this shit is old school. Yo, bitch, man, that's old news. She been on my whole crew. Yeah, that chick is ran through. Ha. This shit sound like old tool. Pull up and I drop the roof, and that bitch a old school. These niggas acting brand new. I just keep it old.